What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/PettyRevenge. Alright, this one is mysteriously called the Ball Stalker, whose balls are being stalked. Twice a week, my hound and I like to go to my favorite dog park. Is it like an actual hound? Because I like hounds. This dog park is relatively large, so I like to have my dog run his energy out by playing his all-time favorite game, fetch. After a long throw, my 10-month-old pup caught his tennis ball and came head-to-head with an older shepherd mix dog, who aggressively ripped the ball from his mouth. Now, as this is relatively normal dog behavior, I wasn't about to make any huge deal of anything, but it is typically common courtesy to return tennis balls to their owners, or at the very least, not leave the dog park with another dog's toys. Reuniting with his owner, I kindly attempted to flag them down for the ball back, as it is the most efficient way to keep my dog out of harm's way. Exempli gratia if there's an overly aggressive dog to lead him in another direction, etc. The man did not respond, but continued to ignore me and his own two dogs, walking away, engaged in his phone conversation. With little else to do, I began to follow him in hopes of asking him to retrieve the ball from his dog. After he hung up the phone, I tried to alert him once more, shouting, "Excuse me, sir?" Once, twice, 3 times. This bloke did not respond, but continued walking in the other direction. Half an hour later, I gave up on shouting after him, but rather frustrated, I continued to follow him from a socially responsible distance. I kept on following him until we reached a fork near the park's entrance, at which point I called my dog, leashed him, and began to leave, to which the gentleman pursued. Still refusing to make contact, raised up his arms in relief. Now, I likely should have let this go at this point, but something within me hung on. And after driving away, I looped back around to find the man and his dogs entering his car. I gave him a wave and started following him once more. After about 20 minutes of drive time, a few abrupt turns, he stopped at a liquor store, and I waited from a convenient parking space on the street for about 10 minutes, reading up on city laws and ordinances regarding stalking. Seeing me on my way out of the parking lot, he peeled away like a bat out of hell, and we went our separate ways. Maybe it's a bit much, but I'll sleep soundly knowing he may be ever so slightly more paranoid, aware of his surroundings, and courteous to the people around him, if only for a little while. Still, I want my ball back. Honestly, at this point, that's grounds for public execution. Like, don't steal dog toys, especially from a dog who's playing with it. It's messed up, man. Honestly. If you're capable of doing that, like stealing a toy from a puppy, that's like worse than stealing candy from a baby. What else are you gonna do? Murder people? Probably. No, you've already escalated past that. Stealing toy from puppy is way worse than murder, but you get my point. When does it stop? Alright, this story's called Mess With My Noodles? Here, have the result. I don't know if it really is petty. I do feel so, though. So I thought I'll share it here since I really enjoy your stories. I hope you enjoy mine. My phone likes to mess with me. Please excuse any mistake. It was a few days before Christmas this year. We are renting from my parents. They do not live here. And they wanted to visit and also renovate the other empty unit. They had brought my brother, Brandon, and his son, my nephew, Nate. We are my partner, our daughter, and me. I believe in boundaries. Also, for kids, no hitting or anything, but kind explanations as to why and what we are doing and stuff. This led to my really sweet daughter of 2.5 years old stop doing things as soon as I say stop, like don't touch the oven. Well, Nate, 3.5 years old, has always been kinda wild. Not running in the woods wild, like daughter, but not listening even if I shout, "Don't touch the goddamn oven!" wild. I think that as the bad wild. So they kinda dumped nephew on me and went on renovating. No problem, I just had to keep both eyes on him. My mother was over and wanted us two to make lunch. Also no problem. It started only when I unpacked my noodle machine. Electric. You add flour and water and it makes you noodles. What? Okay, part of me thinks that's blasphemy because, you know, I like seeing people make noodles by hand, but I'll allow it because that sounds badass. I love that thing. Hey, okay. Nate wants to play with dough. I told him there is none, but if he waits a bit, I will make some. Not good enough, and this one toddler also hasn't learned patience yet. He decided to grab into the freshly made noodles, no, and use the dough stamps on them. Why? That's actually upsetting me. I love fresh noodles, those look so cool. Daughter wanted to try it too, but I said no, don't do that to both. One listened. The other one looked at me and pinched the noodles harder. Of course, they are now like a clump of dough mess with a bit of noodle texture. I asked my mother to stop him from ruining the noodles while I sorted out. Her answer? He just wants to play. Just give him some dough. I decided, fudge it, and just made some dough for them. But he continued to abuse my noodles. Mother, she is kinda one of his caretakers and I thought had more authority than me, just stood there and laughed. Yeah, sure, your lunch. I just cooked the clumps as they are. I did try to pry them a bit, but they are fist-big clumps and unsavable. I just cooked them longer. Brandon, my father, and mother complained the noodles are not as good as last time, and in clumps and some are dissolving while others are still dry on the inside. I just look at Brandon and told him, complain to your son. He wanted to make dough bread with my noodles. I did serve my partner, daughter, and myself a new portion with no clumps. I hate clumps. Nice. I approve of this one. Edit. I was away and this post exploded. Thanks for the rewards. I will check the machine at home and then post an update and PM all those who asked if I get the chance. Edit 2. Edit 2. There we go. It's called Gecker Pasta Maker, fully automatic stainless steel pasta maker, automatic mixing, kneading, and spreading. Whoa. I compared a lot once I discovered there was such a thing like electrical pasta maker and decided for this one from Amazon. But it doesn't make perfect dumpling wrapper, only a long dough band, but the noodles are perfect. I love it. I'm gonna buy one of these eventually. Not even joking. I'm gonna copy and paste it into a new tab, and I'm gonna just keep that tab open like forever. Alright, this story's called Revenge of the Cheerleaders. Then us, then the cheerleaders again. This is a story of how mutual escalation changed the 4th of July parade in my town forever. My family lived in the first house on the parade route, so we have always gone all out for the holiday. Since we are the first house on the route, lots of people wanted to be in our yard. We always had a big crowd of friends turn up for the day. But my parents didn't believe in staking out our yard and shooing strangers away, so the huge crowd on our lawn was always a mix of friends and strangers. That sounds actually pretty cool. Traditionally, during the parade, some of the floats had water pistols. The little baseball teams, the Boy Scouts, etc., basically any float that had a bunch of kids on it had water pistols. What water could make it to the side of the road would barely get you wet. It would be a few drops here and there. One year, the high school varsity cheerleaders, who always rode on top of a big fire truck, thought it would be funny to bring super soakers and completely soak people in the crowd. That's... I dig it. I can't remember who they got in our yard, but it made my mom pretty mad. The next year, my older brother and sister were given their marching orders. They sat on opposite sides of our front lawn, looking innocuous. The cheerleaders turned onto the route, giant super soakers in hand. My brother and sister were under strict orders not to fire unless fired upon. So when the first cheerleader targeted someone in the crowd and started spraying, both my siblings surged to their feet. In their hands, spray nozzles attached to garden hoses. They let loose and sprayed every cheerleader on the fire truck until they were soaking wet and dripping. Oh, again, we were the first house, so the cheerleaders had to ride the entire route with wet hair and makeup running down their faces. Suckers. The next year, we had the garden hoses ready, but hoped the cheerleaders had learned their lesson. What we had forgotten was that they were on top of a fire truck! Those wily pep experts had swayed the firemen to their cause. They let loose with super soakers, we retaliated with garden hoses, and all of a sudden, our entire yard was a catastrophic deluge of water. That's right, They turned the fire hoses on us! Probably 50 people were soaked through the bone. Isn't that dangerous, though? I'm sure they could limit the pressure on the water hoses, right? On the fire hoses, right? Obviously, right? Why wouldn't they? That's a safety feature. Probably necessary. Anyway, since there were always strangers on our lawn, many of whom didn't know about the cheerleader war, there was a lot of innocent collateral damage. Someone complained to the city council about an expensive ruined camera. Oh no. The next year, all water guns of every kind were banned from the parade, and they've been banned ever since. Well fought, cheerleaders. No! They're dummies! Who thought it was a good idea to freaking turn a fire hose on a crowd? Isn't that like a crowd control method though? Jeez, poor guy's camera. Or woman. I know ladies can be photographers, taking pictures of their dog or food for Instagram. I know there are talented photographers out there that are female. I'm joking about the food and dog. You get what I'm saying. All right, this story's called Customer Barked Me Out for Not Wanting to Reopen My Department to Make Her a Pizza, So I Wasted Her Time. He didn't kill her. Or they. I don't know who it is. Anyway, edit. Friendly reminder, this is PettyRevenge, not Am I the Butthole. Whether or not I am a jerk for this isn't really what I'm looking for here. I got petty revenge against a customer who is treating me poorly. If you don't like that, tough. I really don't care if my work ethic at a minimum wage part-time job is coming under question here. Well, buddy, sounding a little defensive there. I'm joking. This is a really dumb one, but it was satisfying, so why not share it? I'm a university student working a supermarket job that's just slightly above minimum wage. It's a nice enough job, and the managers and colleagues are friendly, so I don't mind doing it. The customers are a mixed bag, though. Every single week, without fail, this old woman comes in and asks for 4 gluten-free pizzas with triple mushroom and triple bacon. She always arrives super late into the shift, normally when we are running out of ingredients or are about to close, and it's usually hit or miss whether we have gluten-free bases in store, and you had better believe she blames me when this happens. I don't mind making large orders, but it's pretty inconvenient, especially when she comes in so late in the evening. Worse still, she always has an attitude and is overall a nightmare to deal with. I've always worked with that rule that if a customer is polite and nice to me, I will return the favor and be nice back. The just might mean I give them extra toppings, or I'll work on the presentation a little more for them. Normally it just means I'll be friendlier to them. Similarly, if a customer is being a cooter, I will put the bare minimum effort into whatever task I am doing for them. I finish at the same time every week, 8 p.m. Today, at about 7:15, I was closing my department. Had already covered the pizza ingredients, put away the utensils, etc. Midway through cleaning, the Omega Bimbo rolls up to the counter. I apologize and explain that I am closing down and finish at 8 p.m. She immediately starts complaining that she has been told we are open until 9 p.m. I tell her that the store is open until 9, but the pizza department closes at 8 p.m. at the latest. And as I am only working until that time, I have to close everything down an hour earlier. She gets even angrier and walks off, before returning maybe 5 seconds later after the thought of a sad pizza-less night flashes through her tiny brain. And she tells me something along the lines of, "No, you have enough time. Stop cleaning and make me my pizzas. You don't close until you've done that." I argued back a little, but she was getting irritable, and as much as I like arguing with barky customers, I don't want to get in crap with my managers. So I just look at her and say, I'll go to the freezer and see if we have any gluten-free bases. So I dip out to the warehouse, knowing full well that we have bases, and just chill there for maybe 10 minutes or so. Catch up with the warehouse team, check my phone, you know the rest. When I feel like enough time has passed, I head back and she's still waiting there. With the most deadpan voice I can muster, I just said, "We don't have any of the bases." The look of anger and defeat that flashed across her face was so damn satisfying. She kinda just threw her hands up before leaving, and I got back to finishing cleaning up. The thing is, I don't mind making late orders for customers. It's super inconvenient, and making a late pizza means I have to re-sanitize the surfaces, re-clean the utensils, etc. But if somebody is polite to me, I respect the urge for a late night pizza. I mean, 7 o'clock isn't really late night, especially for pizza. Anyway, sorry, not the point. If a customer's gonna be a jerk though, there's no way in hell I'm gonna make that pizza. I will go out of my way to make sure they can't have it. Hope you enjoyed hearing about this. If anything else like this happens, I'll share it here. So many high horses, man. I'm assuming because the edit at the beginning. Dude, I'm just gonna be real with you. This guy did nothing wrong. Like, if we are to believe the... Okay, not talking about that. Anyway, OP, I feel like he was well within his right to not make that pizza. And the whole thing, going to check the back to see if there's gluten-free pizza bases, and there were. But he's like, nah, we don't have anything. I can relate to that. People aren't freaking robots, okay? And people need to get that through their heads. Just because you work in the service industry doesn't mean that they're your servant. You get what I'm saying? They could be your server, but that's not an ant, okay? Notice, ant, different. Ants are small, insignificant, and you can squash them without any remorse, unless you're some weird yogi freak. But, like Terminator, but replace the OR with an ER, boom. You can't disrespect the Terminator, because he'll be back, but you won't. Alright, this story's called, if it'll load, thank you, okay. Coffee Shop Revenge. I work at a coffee shop, doing things any barista would do. I make coffees, bust tables, and deal with annoying customers. Lots of annoying customers. One customer in particular has aggravated me enough that I have dubbed him as my arch nemesis. For the sake of this story, he shall be called Tad. Tad orders a modified drink that no longer is on our menu. At this point, we just make it for him. Making the drink wouldn't be such a big deal if he were gracious, polite, or had a shred of human decency. But he, unfortunately, is lacking in all three. So I have made a point of messing with his drink every time I see him come in. Now, I've seen stories where people will spit in the food or put other undesirable substances in the product being made. What? What? Where? While these are funny, oh, no, that's kind of scary. I really don't want to do anything that could get me fired. So instead, I will accidentally spill chocolate syrup on the outside of his cup. It's a little thing, and it's really hard to prove there was any kind of malicious intent in the spill. I mean, it's a coffee shop, accidents happen. But Tad will have chocolate syrup all over his hands, and it will be mildly irritating for him. The satisfaction of knowing Tad will have sticky hands is well worth our interactions I subsequently have to put up with. It's the little things that make me love my job. Edits. Spitting in or tampering with the contents of an individual's food is not funny. It is a means by which disgruntled workers can find some sense of satisfaction and karmic justice in their work. I personally would not and have not ever spit in another's food, and I do not recommend doing so. But I can understand why an individual would choose to do so. A basic moral of the story: don't be a jerk to the people making your food, and we will get along fine. Also, please keep in mind, this is an r/PettyRevenge story, not some wholesome sunshine, and you hear that sneeze in the background? And rainbows one. If it sounds mean, it's because I was being mean. No, you were being preemptively defensive for the next time, basically, and it's great. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.